going on, guys? I'm back with another Valentine's Day review, and today we're going to be talking about a film that maybe isn't a traditional Valentine's Day film that you'd watch with your significant other, but would I be not reviewing at least one horror film during a holiday marathon? So today we're going to be talking about the original My Bloody Valentine. To some, this could be a hidden gem due to not having a big release or a real following, but to me, it should have stayed hidden, because there's maybe a handful of things that are decent about this film, and everything else just really didn't work for me. Starting with the story, it gets points for separating itself from the sappy rom-coms people usually watch around this time of the year, with it also being a non-Halloween horror film during another holiday, but really outside of that, all aspects missed. To me, this felt like a horrendous ripoff of Halloween in so many aspects, from the style of slasher and his motive to come back during a holiday, and also the style of camera angles they used during the kills. The film had very minimal personality on its own. The short idea of how this movie gets off the ground, being that teenagers throw a fuss over not being able to have a Valentine's Day party so they don't get murdered, but they throw one anyway, is just very bare bones and flat out weird. I personally never been or even heard of a Valentine's Day party, so that alone comes off very lazy to me. My Bloody Valentine simply had no surprises. Everything moves and is set up in such a predictable way, where the characters do almost everything that you shouldn't do, like don't have sex, don't separate from each other, don't go towards the creepy unknown sounds, and don't listen to the locals' warnings. At its core, it's a simple film that maybe can work for some people, but to me, it's just generic and a cheesy horror film with all the makings of like the 80isms, if you will, all over it. The plot moves so fast, which somewhat can be looked at as a good thing, because I don't know how much more of this film I could have took, but with that, nothing or nobody was able to develop or really settle in to get this film off the ground. To me, the only real decent part of the film was the last act, where it had some decent kills and the cheeky little twist at the end, which was decent as well, but even that came off kind of butchered together. When it comes to the characters, I found them all to be dreadfully annoying, from the way they were written to the way they were acted. I will say, they had a bit more color to them opposed from the first Friday the 13th film, but the acting on display was so over the top and distracting to where they almost came off cartoonish. The film doesn't spend enough time with any of them to really get the audience invested into even a couple characters, and what seemed like attempt at grasping at some character moments with the whole love triangle bit was just so unnecessary and fucking stupid. The only somewhat decent aspect of the characters was the actual antagonist, where his whole look was plain, but a decent idea nonetheless, given the notion that anyone really could be the killer. My next issue was the screenplay, which also did the characters no favor either. The script was so on the nose to where there wasn't one bit of genuine or believable dialogue. The serious notes they were after didn't come off serious, and their attempts at minor emotional moments came off almost as comical. My next and last issue, which I usually don't get into much detail about, but it's absolutely necessary here, and that's the editing. I understand this film went through some tough conditions and had to make adjustments on the fly to accommodate the settings they were in, with it being so dangerous, but the cuts were so obvious, it did not match up. It'll show one action, make a cut, and the next direct cut just won't match up to the action before, especially when it came to the action. It almost felt like they were fighting in slow motion. Overall, the only real decent positive to the film was the gore. They incorporated some decent practical effects to achieve some gnarly and gory kills, but outside of that, I wouldn't recommend this film. My Bloody Valentine gets a 3 out of 10 from me. Let me know what you think about My Bloody Valentine in the comments below, and let me know what film you'd like to see me review next. See you guys in the next one.